It's another edition of Time About the Movies. We're in August 24th, 1990. We've got 7 movies to look at, so we have a lot of reviews to get to. They're going to be short ones, so let's not waste any time. Let's just jump right into it and start with the first movie, the biggest new release of the week, and that was Sam Raimi's Darkman.
Somewhere in the city, a brilliant scientist is on the verge of an amazing discovery.
The cells, they're holding. They're stable.
Finally, we can replace damaged skin tissue.
Then,
no foolish heroics, if you please.
they destroyed everything he had. All that he loved. Everything that he was. Now, crime has a new enemy, and justice has a brand new face.
I was afraid that you wouldn't want me anymore.
Of course I still want you.
The good news is that I know who's behind our little troubles of late. Finish it. Look about you. It's all mine.
He has the power to look like any man.
They're still both sons of witches!
But he is unlike any man.
I gotta tell you something about me. He's a cockroach. You think you kill him? And he pops up someplace else.
In the darkest hour,
Julie, who's the real monster here?
there's a light that shines on every human being. But one. From director Sam Raimi. Darkman.
Fun fact, this movie only got made because Sam Raimi couldn't get any rights to the comic book characters that were being made in the movie, so he didn't get a chance to do Batman. He wasn't able to get The Shadow, although he would produce the Shadow movie about 4 years down the road. So he basically said, fuck it, I'm just going to create my own superhero. And so, for his first Hollywood film, he makes a comic book movie that's not based off of a comic book or a previous superhero from a comic book. He creates his own thing, and sure enough, it becomes one of the most well-made superhero movies ever, because Darkman's pretty freaking awesome, man. Like, it doesn't matter that it has Liam Neeson in it. I mean, just the concept, just the way the film is visually stunning to look at, the way the film is written, it's just a fun movie. It's a fun, well-made superhero movie. Liam Neeson is great in this, so is Frances McDormand. Larry Drake from L.A. Law is very good in this film as well. Like I said, I like the visual look of the film. I like the way the effects are used very well. It's just a ton of fun. It's a really good movie, a wonderfully, wonderfully creative film. If you haven't seen Darkman, I can't recommend it enough. You gotta check this movie out, so definitely check out Darkman. So, like I said, these are gonna be quick reviews, so let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is...
In the 2 years you have worked here, you have broken just about every city ordinance that pertains to this line of work.
Well, you can't say we haven't been a lot of laughs.
Gotta complain about banging trash cans on P Street at 6 a.m. this morning. You boys know anything about this?
No, sir.
Pump it up a little more, get the party.
This is the last year we throw trash. You said that last year. Yeah, but this year I mean it. You meant it last year. Just think of the garbage business as a way station on the road to Vobile. What was that for? You didn't like it. No, I liked it a lot. Then shut up. This is the maximum sentence for murder. I did not murder anyone.
Pump it up a little more, get the party.
You and your stupid pellet gun!
What are you doing?
I'm crashing!
Men at Work, starring Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, and directed by Estevez, the second movie as a director. And this is just a contemporary person to me. The movie definitely kind of reminded me kind of like Regular Show in a way. I can kind of see both Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez as kind of like Mordecai and Rigby in a way. But, so I've seen the movie, and it's not bad. It certainly could have been a whole lot better, but there are moments in here that are legitimately funny. I do like this pairing of Sheen and Estevez, and I like the rest of the cast they have here. And there are definitely a lot of very funny moments in the film. It's very formulaic. You can kind of predict what's going to happen. It's, like I said, it's a perfectly serviceable movie. Do I wish it would have been a little bit better? Yeah, but for what it is, it's good. It's a decent movie. It's probably one I'm not going to watch on repeat many times in the future, but maybe I'll definitely check it out again sometime later on in the future. But it's not something I'm going to rush out to see unless I really, really want to see it. But so that's my thoughts on Men at Work. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which is
From the incredible imagination of Jim Henson and director Nicholas Roeg comes a fascinating new fantasy adventure, The Witches. For when a little boy accidentally stumbles into their secret world, he finds they've got a lot more power than he ever imagined.
Grandma, it's me, Luke. Luke, they turned me into a mouse. Oh, no. It was the Grand High Witch.
Join Luke on his remarkable journey. Now, the witches are on his tail,
Whoa!
and he must scurry around their evil plots, squeak past every danger, finally setting the trap that will save the world from the witches.
You're in for a treat.
We must stop them.
So no joke, I've actually seen this movie for the first time a couple of years ago when the Robert Zemeckis remake came out. And as much as I did like the Robert Zemeckis remake, there's nothing that's going to top this movie in terms of just the way it looks, just the way it feels. I absolutely love this movie. It's a very dark, gritty, but fun PG-rated family film. When PG actually meant something, this isn't like... It's when it says some material may not be suitable for children, this movie clearly has stuff that's not suitable for that may not be suitable for children. It's not like the modern-day PG where it's like, My Little Pony the movie is rated PG. It's just like, no, this was back when PG actually meant something, and it shows on screen. I mean, the visuals of this movie still hold up to this very day. This is one of the last movies that Jim Henson's company worked on while Henson was still alive. But you can see that the visuals, they still hold up very well. Like, the visuals they use here, the practical effects here look very good. They hold up very well. And on top of that, the movie is just a ton of fun. You can see that the storytelling is very well done. The cast overall is great. Anjelica Huston, she's fantastic in this movie. Like I said, the visuals still hold up very nicely. It's just a fun time. It's a fun movie that, like I said, 1990s PG. This is definitely 1990s PG. The remake has nothing compared to this movie. It's just a much better movie. Like I said, I do like the remake, but nothing will ever top what this movie does. This movie is actually really good. I'm glad I got to see it finally, because thank God for the remake, because I would have probably never seen it. So, but yeah, like I said, The Witches is a fantastic film. So, on to the next movie.
The flow of cocaine coming into the United States is becoming a war.
He rules an empire.
Gentlemen, Ramon Coda, the world's wealthiest drug dealer.
A world of corruption and violence. His power crosses every border.
In democracy, great.
But now, he's crossed the wrong man.
We would have been such a beautiful team.
Not on your best day, pal. Chuck Norris is back.
See that look in your eye?
I'm not going to fight.
Always the hard one.
And he's about to take the war on drugs
Stranglehold, it's a go.
to new heights.
You can go with the parachute or without it. You're bluffing. Want a bet? Scared you, didn't I?
He's a gentleman.
Hang on.
with a soft touch.
Lesson number 1.
A mean kick.
Lesson number 2.
And his own special brand of diplomacy.
School's out.
Chuck Norris, Delta Force 2.
Delta Force 2, aka The Colombian Connection, aka Operation Stranglehold, aka this movie really has nothing to do with the original Delta Force, but screw it, here it is out here, and yeah, it's one of the reasons why it doesn't really work as well as the original movie. The original Delta Force is a fun, over-the-top, cheap-looking action movie, but it's a good, fun action movie. It's canon films at their best, but this is canon films kind of at their worst. I mean, this is a movie that, like I said, it doesn't even feel like it belongs in the same realm as the original Delta Force. It feels more like another Chuck Norris movie made by Canon, missing in action, which that should just tell you right away how much they didn't care about making a legitimate continuation of the original film. The script is pretty bland. The action scenes aren't really all that great, and I mean, this isn't the fun Chuck Norris like when you watch Conan O'Brien and you see the Walker Texas Ranger clips and you can see how cheesy and over the top those clips are and have a good time with them. You don't really get that here. I mean, a lot of Chuck Norris's early movies don't really have that. You're expecting them to be taken seriously with the stuff they have here. And this just didn't work for me. I know there's going to be some people that like it for the cheesy, over-the-top things in it, but, yeah, compared to the first movie, this is definitely a major step down from the previous film. So, there you go. That's Delta Force 2. Insert your own subtitle here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie.
2.
You sit next to him all year.
You out there? You listening?
And never notice him.
You can almost taste it. The rightness in the air.
He's the guy who lights up the night.
He's got a pirate radio station.
They say that I am deluged.
Oh, you meant it. Hallelujah.
Well, guess what I say?
Christian Slater.
Get crazy!
Pump up the volume. Rated R.
Of course, Pump Up the Volume, starring Christian Slater, kind of the movie that broke him out into superstardom, because this was a well-received movie critically, did well at the box office, and he was really damn good in the movie. This was the movie that really did break him out as a movie star. Him and Samantha Mathis are both very good here, as is Ellen Green, Scott Paulin. It's a really well-made movie. It's a movie that perfectly sums up the time period very well. It's a movie that I think can stand the test of time. And it just works. It's a really good, well-made movie. It has a lot of elements there that appeal to the teens of the era. It could appeal to most teens nowadays. And it's a movie that it does take kind of a formulaic route, but it doesn't cop out at the end. As much as it gets so close to potentially doing that, it doesn't cop out in the end. It just tells you the cold, hard truth of life as we know life at the time back then. It's a message that really does hold up very well, even by today's standards. It's a movie that I think is very well made. It's a really good movie. It's a movie that launched Slater's career, made him into a star. It's a well-made movie. I'd say definitely check out Pump Up the Volume if you haven't seen it already. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which is After Dark, My Sweet.
We thought I was just met.
I don't have any ideas yet.
Let me see what I can stir up for you.
I don't want him talking you into this mess.
The family's ready to pay up. They just want the boy back.
Wake up, Charlie.
Faye doesn't trust me, and I don't trust her. We both don't trust you.
After Dark, My Sweet.
Starts Friday.
After Dark, My Sweet is, of course, starring Jason Patric and Rachel Ward. And it's a nice return for James Foley, who, after making two pretty good movies, Reckless and At Close Range in the 80s, kind of stumbled back a bit with Who's That Girl, which has the theme song in that movie is pretty good, and I like the opening title sequence. That movie had so much potential to it, but it did really kind of disappoint. But this was definitely a return to form for James Foley, because after this he would make another great film, probably his best film as a director overall, with Glengarry Glen Ross. But this movie is really well done. Patrick and Ward work off each other very well. The casting in here is great. The visuals overall are very good. Bruce Dern is also very good in this movie, and it's a very good film. It's a really good, solid piece of entertainment. It's a film that not a lot of people know about, but I'd say definitely check it out if you want to see some of these some of these great neo-noir type of movies from James Foley's early career, because this is definitely one of his strongest films, and definitely is a comeback from what he did prior to this. So that's After Dark, My Sweet. Now let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, which is The Icicle Thief.
Grazie Antonita, è lui che mi ha raccomandato per la fabbrica. Pensa Maria, 10 giorni di ferie pagate, tutte le domeniche libere e c'è anche la cassa malattia per tutta la famiglia. Maria, adesso ci possiamo ammalare tutti.
Yeah, I only had to get a clip there because I couldn't find the trailer online, but The Icicle Thief was essentially created as a spoof of neorealism, predominantly Italian cinema after World War II, and it's generally understood that the film had an impact on consumerism of art. It's a film that's supposed to be very much like The Purple Rose of Cairo, and maybe a little bit of The Naked Gun. You can definitely tell there's a little bit of a spoof aspect just from that clip alone, but I haven't really seen the movie, so I can't really comment on it, but it definitely looks like a French film. It definitely looks like an Italian movie I said French. It's Italian, but yeah, it definitely looks like a movie from Italy. And I mean, yeah, not really much more I can say about that one because I haven't really seen it all that much. But just want to acknowledge that it existed. So there you go. That's The Icicle Thief. And judging by that clip, it's got some potential. I mean, maybe it could be something interesting, but I'm not gonna rush out to see it anytime soon. But so yeah, that's The Icicle Thief. So with that said, that's going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and after a couple of busy weeks, next time around, we're not going to have too much to look at. We only have one movie that came out that weekend, and that was The Lemon Sisters, which I don't really know too much about, but I'll take a look at the trailer for that. And I think next time around, we'll also add in this movie that Akira Kurosawa made, Dreams, which was also a co-production with George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Martin Scorsese, which came out actually this weekend from this particular episode, but we'll definitely look at both of those movies next time around, and then the week after that, there's nothing really coming out, but I'll try to figure out something to put in there for that week, so we'll have something to look at over the next couple of days, even though it won't be much, but with all that said, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another new episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And until then, take care.